The war horn echoed through the Imperial Senate chamber, a deep, resonating blast that had preceded every major conflict in Vexorian history for the past 3,000 years. High Chancellor Vrex stood at the podium, all four of his arms raised in ceremonial declaration, his purple scales gleaming beneath the harsh lights. "The human territories will fall," he bellowed, his voice heavy with absolute certainty. And that was when Ambassador Jackson Martinez did the most infuriating thing imaginable. He yawned. Not a small, polite yawn. No, this human stretched his arms over his head, let out a sound like a dying turbine, and casually checked his wrist device. "Is it lunch yet?" Martinez asked no one in particular. The chamber went completely silent. You could have heard a scale drop. Vrex felt his secondary hearts skip a beat, something that had not happened since the Battle of Karox Prime. Did you just yawn?" Vrex sputtered, his translator struggling to convey his disbelief. "We have just declared war on your species." "Yeah, I caught that," Martinez replied, leaning back in his chair with the relaxed posture of someone on vacation rather than standing in the middle of an interstellar war declaration. Big horn, dramatic gestures, very impressive. But seriously, is this going to take long? I skipped breakfast, and the cafeteria here does this roasted kelp thing that's actually pretty decent. Senator Quilix, a veteran of 12 campaigns, leaned toward her aide. "Is he suffering from some kind of neural disorder?" "I do not believe so, Senator," the aide whispered. "Scans indicate he is perfectly healthy." "Then why is he not panicking?" Martinez must have heard them, because he turned in his seat, that infuriating smile still plastered on his face. "Panicking? Why would I panic? You've been building up to this for what? 6 months now? The troop movements, the aggressive trade sanctions, the very subtle massing of your Fourth Fleet along our border. We've been watching." Vrex felt his primary stomach tighten. You knew?" "Of course we knew," Martinez said, inspecting his fingernails as if they were the most fascinating thing in the galaxy. "Your operational security is about as tight as a colander. We intercepted your battle plans 3 weeks ago. Captain Reynolds actually printed them out and pinned them in the break room. There's a betting pool on whether you'd attack on a Tuesday or a Thursday." He paused, tilting his head thoughtfully. "Most people bet Thursday, by the way. Something about your cultural superstition with the number 7. But here we are, Tuesday. Lieutenant Park just won 800 credits. She's going to be unbearable about it." Quilix stood abruptly, her voice sharp with fury. "You mock us, human. Our fleet consists of 400 dreadnoughts, each capable of reducing your planets to ash. We have conquered 17 star systems. We are the dominant military power in this sector." "Oh, absolutely," Martinez agreed, nodding enthusiastically. "Your ships are gorgeous. Big. Lots of guns. Very intimidating. We especially love the skull motif on your flagships. Very on brand." "Then why do you sit there so calmly?" Vrex demanded, slamming his primary fist onto the podium. Martinez sighed, the long, patient sigh of a teacher explaining something obvious to a slow student. "Because, Chancellor, you're not the first ones to try this. In the last century alone, humanity has fought the Karathi Dominion, the Assembled Hives, the Technocratic Union, and that weird crystalline entity no one likes to talk about anymore. We're still here. They aren't. Threats mean nothing without proof," a senator shouted from the back. "Threats?" Martinez looked genuinely puzzled. "Who said anything about threats? I'm just stating facts. Historical record, really. Here's how this goes. You send your fleet, we defend ourselves, things get messy. Eventually, someone on your side realizes this was a terrible idea. Then we have peace talks, sign treaties, establish a demilitarized zone. And 10 years from now, we're probably trading partners." He stood, brushing imaginary dust from his suit jacket. "Or," he added, "we skip all the unpleasant dying and destruction and go straight to the peace talks. Maybe over lunch? I hear the kelp is excellent today." Vrex felt something unfamiliar crawl into his chest. Not fear, but uncertainty. "You believe you can defeat the Vexorian Empire?" he asked quietly. Martinez met his gaze. For the first time, the smile vanished. "Chancellor, I don't believe anything," he said calmly. "I know. We've done this dance before. It always ends the same way." He turned toward the door, then paused and looked back. "So, war now or after lunch? Your call." 3 days later, the Vexorian Fourth Fleet entered human space with all the subtlety of a supernova. 400 warships, engines blazing and weapons primed, ready to demonstrate the full might of an empire that had never known defeat. Admiral Corvus stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship Retribution, watching the tactical display with satisfaction. The human colony of New Perth lay before them, a modest settlement of only 2 million inhabitants, perfect for making an example. Scanners detect minimal defensive installations, his tactical officer reported. 3 orbital platforms, 40 fighter craft. No capital ships in range. Pathetic, Corvus muttered. Open a channel to the colony. Let them know their time has come. The communications officer worked his console, then frowned. Sir, we are receiving an incoming transmission from the colony. Already? They surrender before we even fire. Corvus allowed himself a small smile. Put it through. The view screen flickered to life, revealing not a terrified governor or military commander, but a woman in casual civilian clothes sitting in what appeared to be a coffee shop. She was drinking from a large mug, her feet propped up on a table. Hey there, she said cheerfully. You must be the Vexorian fleet. Right on time. I'm Governor Lisa Park. Yes, the same Park who won the betting pool. Thanks for that, by the way. Corvus felt his jaw plates tighten. This is your response to invasion? Mockery. Mockery? No, just being friendly. Listen, I wanted to give you folks a heads up before things get awkward. You see that moon orbiting about 60,000 kilometers from your current position. The tactical officer checked quickly. Sir, there is indeed a moon at that location. Scans show it is uninhabited, standard rocky composition. Yeah, about that. Park continued, taking another sip of her drink. That's not actually a moon. It's a mining station. Been there about 15 years. We hollow out asteroids and moons for minerals. Very efficient process. What does this have to do with anything? Corvus demanded. Well, about 6 months ago, when we figured out you were planning this whole invasion thing, we installed something special inside it. Think of it as a welcoming gift. A cold sensation crept down Corvus's spine. What kind of gift? The kind that goes boom, Park said simply. A really, really big boom. We're talking about a weapon that makes your dreadnoughts look like party favors. We call it the Sunbreaker Array. Creative name, right? Lieutenant Hayes came up with it. The tactical officer was frantically scanning the moon. Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures. They were masked by the natural radiation of the planetoid, but by the ancestors, the power readings are off the scale. You're bluffing, Corvus said, though his voice lacked conviction. Am I? Park set down her mug and leaned forward. Here's the thing, Admiral. Humans have this really annoying habit of over-engineering our weapons. We always assume we'll fight something bigger and scarier than us, so we build accordingly. That moon-based weapon was originally designed to crack open a planet if we ever needed to evacuate the core for mining. We've never used it in combat before. She paused, her smile fading. You would be the first. The bridge of the Retribution erupted in alarms. Admiral, the weapon is powering up. Energy levels are reaching critical mass. Stand down, Corvus shouted. Transmit our stand down immediately. Too late for that, Park said, though she didn't sound happy about it. The array has a 15-minute charge sequence. Once it starts, it can't be stopped. Safety feature, ironically enough. You've got about 12 minutes before it fires. Then disengage it. Can't. Not from here. But here's the good news. The weapon has a very specific firing trajectory. It's aimed at a point in space roughly 20,000 kilometers from your current position. So if you move your fleet, literally anywhere else, you'll be perfectly safe. Corvus stared at the view screen, his mind racing. This was madness. Humans didn't fight like this. They were supposed to be afraid, scattered, easy prey. Why are you telling us this? He asked quietly. Park picked up her mug again, swirling the contents thoughtfully. Because Ambassador Martinez was right. We've done this before. We know how it ends. And honestly, I've got a 4-year-old daughter in the daycare center down the street. The last thing I want is a long war where people like her grow up scared. She met his eyes. So here's my offer. You move your fleet out of weapons range. We power down the array. Nobody dies today. Then we talk, like civilized beings. And if we refuse, then in about 10 minutes, you'll find out why every species that's gone to war with humanity is either extinct or our ally. Your choice, Admiral. The bridge was silent except for the countdown alarm. 10 minutes. 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Corvus looked at his officers, seeing his own uncertainty reflected in their faces. They had come expecting victory, glory, conquest. Instead, they were checkmated before a single shot was fired. "Helm," he said finally, his voice heavy with defeat. "Move the fleet to minimum safe distance." "Wise choice," Park said, warmth returning to her voice. "Oh, and Admiral, when you get back to Chancellor Vrex, tell him Ambassador Martinez is still available for lunch. The kelp really is excellent." The transmission ended. As the Vexorian fleet withdrew, Corvus realized something that made his blood run cold. The humans hadn't won through superior firepower alone. They had won because they had planned for this exact scenario months ago. Every move, every contingency, every outcome calculated and prepared. They hadn't been lucky. They had been ready. And that, Corvus thought as New Perth disappeared from his view screen, was far more terrifying than any weapon. If this story entertained or taught you something, please like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow and bring you more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next story.